that were asleep last night, I want to talk about the highlights, all right? So these are some of the highlights, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time going over this because y'all should have watched the debate yesterday. But I want to bring y'all up to speed on why people were so disappointed in Joe Biden's performance in the first place. Take a look.
Now, please welcome the 46th.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Shout out to Chris James.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24% or 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look.
Listen. Watching this live was insane. Watching this live was one of the most insane things that I have ever seen in my entire life. To see Trump look over at homie and do one of these, to know that this dude was completely incoherent and that he couldn't put together a full sentence, that he looked down and he had to keep on referencing his notes and he didn't even know how to talk and speak properly. It was honestly, this was practically elder abuse. To put this man up there, I know the administration, the Democratic Party, I know the Democratic National Convention is happening over in Chicago shortly. Forget the talking points. Forget the talking points. Before we even get into whether or not it was true or is not true or what our opinion of this whole thing is, forget the talking points. This was literally the very beginning of the debate. This was the beginning of the debate. Dog, if this is not the screenshot right here, Trump looking at him to try to understand whether or not he got all of his faculties. And then it's funny, later on in the debate, Joe was trying to convince us, we will talk about it in a minute. Joe was trying to convince us that he can play a full 18 rounds or that he can hit the ball 50 yards, hit a golf ball 50 yards up. I said, bullshit. No way. No way in hell. This was insane. Let me replay this for y'all really quickly. Hold on. It was just a whole lot of incoherent statements.
Able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
Yo, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. I don't know whether we should laugh or we should cry. This was crazy to see it in real time with no edits, no cuts, no none of that. This dude said if we
finally beat Medicare.
If we finally beat Medicare. What the if we finally beat Medicare. Man, I'm telling you, this guy had to have a diaper on up there. No way. No way that I would parade my elder out there, my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother out there. And you know, the crazy part about it is that they only 3 years apart. You know what this debate taught me, honestly? Because we already knew what it was. All they did was parade him out there to confirm what we already believed. This told me that I am going to make sure every single day going forward. Look, my take is going to be different because I know that this is the Millionaire Morning Show. This debate and the first parts of this debate told me that what I'm going to do going forward is make sure that I dedicate myself to the gym, that I eat only fruits and vegetables for the majority of the time, and that I'm going to focus 100% on my health. Because the difference in how these guys is, I mean, you know, Trump ain't the model of great health or himself, but he got all of his faculties. He knows how to communicate effectively. You could tell he got all of his marbles up there. He's not going to stand in front of Putin and Kim Jong-un and look stupid. This told me that I have to make sure at 42 years old that I don't act like Joe when I become his age. This is pure elder abuse. That's what this debate taught me. We already knew that Joe had none of his faculties. We already knew that he's not even running the White House at all. I don't believe that Joe is running the White House at all. It is handlers. It is other people. He is a sock puppet. And this dude is literally the Manchurian candidate. No way in hell you're going to sit here and tell me that this is a person that should be running the free world.
Dealing with the with the COVID.
And no, I'm not paying 24% of my income. 24%? 24%? Are you crazy?
Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if...
That's insane. This is insane. This is crazy. No way in the world we should be sitting here looking at this man fumble this. Somebody need to be fired for parading that man out there. Somebody need to be fired for even telling him that he need to be running for president again. He didn't even do a good job the first time, and now this dude is losing more faculties. And then they're going to do the comb over it. Man, get out of here, bro.
We finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President.
And then they just stopped him. Like, thank you, President
Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
No mercy. No mercy.
Because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare.
Look at Joe.
So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is...
Who's there? Is anybody home? Is anybody home? Look at Joe. Look at Joe while Trump is talking.
Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare.
Joe.
So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame.
This dude is having a hard time breathing. He's breathing with his mouth open, and his chest is going up and down. Look, the internet is forever. And when you start to break this down, it really starts to show. He's breathing through his mouth, not through his nose. He's breathing through his mouth. He's not there. He's trying to gather himself. Somebody activate the button, hit the reset button, turn him back on, y'all. Look at his breathing.
Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's
Joe.
a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
And you know what? The problem for me, one of the biggest things that I was looking for in this debate is for an answer for why all of these immigrants, these illegal immigrants that's coming into this country that is running over the borders, why are they on Medicare? Why are they getting health care coverage? Why are they getting checks, free checks? Why are they getting luxury hotels and housing? Who's going to be accountable and responsible for all of the Americans and the cops that's getting shot at and shot and the different people that are dying as a result or at the hands of a lot of these guys that's coming into this country. What about these flights of these people flying over into this? Yo, it's bad. It's bad. And that was the main thing. If there was anything that the Democratic Party fumbled over the last 4 years that is indisputable amongst anybody, is how can you leave the borders completely open and then sue Texas for trying to protect the borders and then make people come in here legally, not illegally, legally.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels.
That's insane. And not only are they living in luxury hotels, the hotel owners are charging literally record prices in order to make sure that they keep these people, and they don't have to maintain the hotels because they know that the migrants is there and that the people is going to pay regardless and that the administration is going to pay regardless. I mean, listen, I've covered this migrant crisis extensively. I've probably done no less than 300 shows with something at some point including the migrant crisis over the last 3 years. No less than 300 shows, and it is insane. It is insane. We've tried to figure it out. We tried to figure out where the money was going, where all of these billions of dollars is going. As of right now, Chicago has spent over $400 million. New York has spent considerably more. Denver is just ran roughshod. Ditto for LA. Hiding migrants in Boston Airport. Atlanta is just crazy. They all over the country. We're not even going to talk about Arizona. And Biden didn't speak to any of it. Any of it. And you don't need a bipartisan agreement in order to protect our borders. That is a responsibility that is leveled on the national government, and you don't need bipartisan support to do so. It's crazy. And he had no answer for it, zero answer for it. Amidst record inflation, Oakland is collapsing. California has a record deficit. A record deficit, what, like a $65 billion deficit? They had to pull $12 billion out of the rainy day fund, and there's still no relief in sight whatsoever. Jesus Christ.
In New York City and other places, our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved, choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border.
And let me also add this in there. One thing that we don't talk about is Obama was literally called the deporter in chief. Obama, with Joe Biden as his vice president, deported more migrants, illegal immigration, ICE was out there rolling than any president before him. Obama, to his credit, because Obama don't get some of the credit that he deserves. I don't like him as a president or what it was that he, especially his second term in particular. Obama was called the deporter in chief. He deported more migrants. He was the one that was getting all of the flack for having them in cages and all of this stuff. He deported more migrants than any president before him. He was tough on immigration into this country, and that is a fact. And then Trump just basically continued it, except for they wanted to prevent him from doing the same thing that Obama was doing, except for Trump wanted to make sure that the borders was even more secure and give more funding to Homeland Security and the Border Patrol, instead of us giving it all over into these migrants. And Biden had no answer, and I'm not even sure that he could answer. Because he wasn't even fully there.
By
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in.
President
and it's
Biden,
a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son.
You see how he completely avoided the question about illegal immigrants, but he wanted to continue to focus on veterans? And that's a classic strategy. He was taught that in debate class, where you don't address the issue, you pick one thing that the person said and you hammer home on that.
I spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma.
What?
I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
You see how he just completely deflected?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers story. He should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the lines. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever.
I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine, never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me.
I will say this, and y'all can go and watch the rest of the debate. The full debate is available, or you can go and watch it on a watch party with after hours and stuff like this. I will say this. The one thing that we do have definitively, above all, whether you agree with Joe, which is very hard to agree with Joe because Joe wasn't even really there. I'm not even sure who was there, but it wasn't Joe. Whether you agree with Joe or you rocking out with Trump, the one thing that we can say definitively is two things that I take away from this. One, we started no new wars. It was no new wars in 2016, 17, 18, or 19. There were no new wars in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. We was actually bringing troops home. That's a fact. Second thing that we can definitively say is that y'all can look at the experience from 2016 to 2020 and 2020 to 2024. We have sample sizes. We don't even have to go off of whether he said, she said, what your experience is. Were you better under Trump or were you better under Biden? Were you better under Trump? You got a 8-year sample size to say, okay, I lived through these 4 years and I lived through these 4 years. What was it like for me and my family and the opportunities and the money in 2016 through 2020 and 2020 through 2024? We don't have to go off of whether we like them, whether we dislike them. How was your life under both? And that's all I'm going to say about that. So as far as the highlights are concerned, it's pretty insane. It's absolutely insane to think that this is even a choice, that we even have to sit here and debate whether or not it makes sense to vote for one person over the other. Let me